This episode has been made possible by our awesome sponsors, Sunsail. Thanks, guys. In a parallel universe, in another life, I would have been a wooden boat builder, and I'd have probably joined a sea shanty band as well. That's at least the sort of the fantasy in my head.
Yeah, well, I'll put you on the list for in
please do. Hi guys, it's Theo here on the Sailing Podcast. Welcome to another episode, and today I am at the Southampton Boat Show, so pardon any noise in the background that you can hear, but I'm here at the wooden boat building stage with Will Reid. Will, you're the director of the British Boat Building Academy. That's quite a title. Can you tell me how you ended up being the director of the British Boat Building Academy and sort of how you got into building boats?
Great, yeah, thanks Theo, it's good to be here with you. I started out in woodwork as a child, and that was my passion from a very young age, and I was more likely to be in there than in my shed in the garden than doing my homework. But it sort of led on from there. My parents were very supportive, and I ended up doing a degree in furniture design and making, which was a highly practical course. Yeah. And I loved it, and it was the future was starting in my hobby, which is ideal if you can achieve that, isn't it? And I did that for a while, and then I got into teaching as well, and making and designing furniture, so I was pretty busy doing that. Yeah. And then I saw an advert in a magazine for the boat building course in Lyme Regis, which I then did in 2006. And it was really, I saw it as an expansion of my skills. Before that, in furniture making, most things were straight and square, maybe with a single plane curve. Yeah. And suddenly you're into these beautiful compound curves, and all the additional challenges that come with that. Yeah, there's almost nothing technical woodworking, flat or straight on a boat, is there? No, very little, very little. And drawing, we do full-size drawings, loftings, and planking, and all the shaping in these compound curves, and joining boards and straight lines into curves, and all the challenges that come with that. And that for me was very exciting. It really ticked all the right buttons, and that's where I got into boat building. Following on from that, I had a workshop in Wiltshire, furniture making, designing, boat building, restoration. We were sort of involved in all sorts of things. But I was drawn back to the academy to teach, and I did several short courses there, ended up teaching there full time and setting up the furniture making course at the Boat Building Academy.
So you were drawn back to teaching at the Boat Building Academy. What was it that sort of pulled you back to teaching?
Well, for me, I love the making, and I always have done, but also to be able to pass on those skills to other people is an incredibly rewarding thing to do, and I've always loved it from quite a young age. Yeah. And so to marry up the two things, to be able to make and run a workshop and teach was a dream for me. At some point when my wife and I started having children, we had to decide on having a very active, busy workshop, and my life in teaching as well, so travelling between Wiltshire and Lyme Regis. And Lyme Regis won, and the Boat Building Academy won, and we settled in Lyme Regis, and I did that for several years and helped to establish the furniture school back in 2009. In about 6 years ago, so in 2019, the previous principal moved on, and I applied for the job and I got it. And for me, it was a move away from teaching, and of course less hands-on. But it gave me the opportunity to push forward this incredible organisation that's the Boat Building Academy that I enjoy so much and get so much from, and to lead it into the future. Yeah, and it's a charity, isn't it? Well, it is now. Yeah. So after a year or so, Tim Gedge, who's the founder of the BBA, and I, and with trustees, we set up a charity, and so now the BBA is a full charitable company. Okay, and what's the purpose of the charity? What's the sort of the public benefit of the charity? Yeah, that's a great question, and it's really about helping us to be able to raise funds to provide bursaries. Mm-hmm. So because it's an expensive thing to run. Yeah. We have a big team of excellent tutors. We have the building to rent and insurance and everything else. So because of all that, the courses are necessarily expensive. Yeah. They're good value, but it's still a lot of money. Yeah. So in order to try to help people get into the training, we offer bursaries. Okay. And on any one course of 18, we might well have between 4 and even 8 bursaries in some cases. Usually funded up to about 50% of the fee, sometimes more. Yeah. But aside from the bursary side of things, we also work with local school children, disenfranchised children, and just as many children as we can to get them interested in this great career potential.
And I'd imagine something that's sort of hands-on like that. I mean, not all children love sitting down at a desk and doing academic studies, so for and adults as well, I'm sure that having a sort of a physical manual thing to do that's highly skilled is a really engaging challenge for lots of people.
Absolutely right, and we see this time and again. And some children who struggle with dyslexia or other challenges, actually, they're brilliant boat builders. They're brilliant with their hands, great with spatial awareness and conceptualizing. So
just real practical intelligence.
We do have that challenge.
So just describe I've been to Lyme Regis. I've been mobbed by the seagulls. Describe where the boat building academy is and what you experience when you walk in.
So well, if you walk along the seafront from east to west, eventually you get to the edge of Lyme Regis and you find our building, which is an old RAF building that was built just before the war as a search and rescue base.
Okay.
And it's quite an imposing building, plenty of space, ideal for our purposes. It used to house these big repurposed seaplane tenders which would race out to sea to pick up any fallen crew during the war. And it saw active service. It's quite an interesting start to things. But now, of course, it runs as the academy, and as you walk in the front door, invariably you see 4, 5 or 6 boats in build just inside the front door, or being in restoration. We've got one lovely old gaff cutter in restoration at the moment. But you immediately get that smell of the wood, of very different types of wood, and you. Many days of the week you'll have lots of people in there working away with their heads down. It's quite an industrious environment.
Okay,
Great fun.
So presumably there's not very much sort of classroom time. The classroom is the workshop, presumably.
We do have a classroom.
Okay.
We do have classrooms. The practical time on the course is getting on for 90%. But there is essential theory as well, because as well as the practical elements, there is a level 3 qualification that goes with it, a City and Guilds qualification.
Okay, so that's a sort of a nationally recognised qualification that you come out with at the end.
Internationally recognised. And so there are exams that go with that. There's theory to study, and there are theory lessons to take. And then there are practical assignments that the students have to do to get their level 3.
So it's proper sort of learning and studying, and it's not just sort of coming and tinkering a bit in a workshop.
Absolutely not. No, it's professional training for industry. Some people do it in retirement. And we've got several of them helping out here, our sort of retired graduates and others who are helping on the stand. But for most people, it's either career changers or school leavers or career developers, people who are going into the industry and they want the best possible training to be able to make a
So the industry is then, they're going into the wooden boat building industry or the furniture making industry? So that's sort of the boat yards all around the coast and all around the country.
Absolutely.
And I mean, obviously, huge numbers of boats are being built in fibreglass, carbon fibre, all the modern technology. What place does wooden boat building have? Is there a future in wooden boat building? Is it sort of hankering after a past that's gone, or is there a future in wooden boats?
There absolutely is. I mean, and this week at the Southampton Boat Show, we're actually sitting in the wooden boat stage, which is a celebration of all things wooden boats. So it's a collaboration between the Boat Building Academy, the women in boat building, and the Boat Builders Trade Association. So it's really a celebration of wooden boat building. It's trying to raise the profile and to put it even more on the map. But there are plenty of wooden boat builders here today, and most people have said this is the highlight of the show for them. But in terms of the industry as a whole, our students get picked up by all those amazing yards like Spirit Yachts and Will Sterling and Tommy Nielsen's, and the list goes on. So most people join us for wooden boat building, and all those with the right attitude who are going out there with their new skills will find work. Some of them do move into the fiberglass world, and probably just about every yard in the UK at some point has had someone from our place that has gone through their doors as well and has worked there.
That's really exciting. So I mean, you mentioned that I'm not retired yet, but in a parallel universe, in another life, I would have been a wooden boat builder, and
Yeah.
I'd have probably joined a sea shanty band as well. That's
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least the sort of the fantasy in my head.
Yeah, well, I'll put
But-
you on the list for in
Yeah,
a few
please,
years'
please
time.
do.
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
love to. Yeah, I know. I just think it's fascinating. So I want to come back, just pick up on, you mentioned the women in boat building.
Yeah.
And they have organised this stand at the show, or jointly organised this stand at the boat show.
Yeah.
Are there many women who come and do boat building? What's the organisation of women in boat building doing? What's their sort of aim? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Led by Belinda Jocelyn, who's worked at Spirit Yachts as a painter and finisher, and became very aware of the sort of cultural barrier to women getting involved. So we started working with her about 3 years ago, after having 3 courses with no women on. We have had great women through before, but we did 3 in a row with no women. So I spoke to Belinda, and we sort of hatched a plan to make a change. And the following course, we had more women than men. So out of 15, we had 8 women.
Wow.
And,
what was the change you made?
well, we did several things. We actually actively tried to adjust our visual profiles, so on adverts and social media and interviews and in articles in magazines, all of those things. We were featuring the brilliant women we've had over the years more, and articles in magazines and papers and podcasts and all sorts of things to really just say, actually, this isn't a man's world. It's a world that's, whoever you are, there's something for you in boat building. And there is a bit of a cultural barrier, but so it's trying to break that down, talking to yards. And also we established a bursary specifically for women to encourage women who couldn't afford to be here that actually, we can help you, we can support you in this new life. And the other thing that Belinda and her fellow directors and the supporters are very keen on is mentoring.
Yeah.
So if you're a woman looking to join the trade, to talk and to understand that yes, there are great opportunities out there. And Belinda's very good at really pushing that world, talking to the great following, getting them involved in activities like this to spread the word about what they do and to have open talks about the challenges they have as well.
Yeah.
We had a great talk yesterday about the challenges with PPE and the fact that the things might come in various sizes, but they're very often not shaped for women. And that's things like masks for dust and for vapour control that actually, they don't fit to a woman's face. They're a different shape as well.
Okay,
I'm generalising, but it's definitely a major factor.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a sort of an element that you just don't think of really, but presumably the PPE makers generalise, we'll make men's one, we don't have much demand for women's one. So, but actually you need to provide the right kit for.
Right. And it's the same with tools.
Yeah.
A number 4 smoothing plane is made for slightly larger hands, and very often women struggle with that. And you can reshape the handles and various things, but perhaps you shouldn't need to.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So if when your students come, if I came on a course, what would it look like? Your main course is a year long, isn't it? 40 weeks, is
40
it?
weeks.
40 weeks. What would I do in those 40 weeks?
Yeah, so it's a busy, intensive 40 weeks. Immersive is the word I like to use for it. So the course is essentially split into 2 halves. The first half is highly structured. So you're going through lots of joinery, lots of hand skills. You're planing, you're sawing, you're marking out. You're attempting to produce some very precise joints, starting with simple joints, going through to more complex.
And joints are sort of, I immediately think dovetail joints and
dovetails, mortise and tenons. You can see a few basic joints on the bench there. But, and going through to scarf joints, which if you imagine 2 short pieces of wood tapered down to create a long piece of wood in simplistic terms. And there are many different versions of that, and scarf joints are used extensively in boat building in all different areas. So we did lots of scarf joints. And deck beams going into beam shelves where you have curves and angles and nothing square and nothing straight. Yeah. So you sort of...
And presumably things sort of change as the joint goes on as well, if boats are curving.
Yeah, that's right, Sort of rolling rebates and... it gets really technical and really interesting very quickly. Yeah. So following on from the woodwork and joinery, and then, they have a foundation in that, but they continue that woodwork all the way through. But they're using machines and power tools as well to learn about how to become more efficient, and they'll be using the equipment they'll be using in professional yards. We do lofting, so every boat we build, we draw full size.
Yeah.
And you're then able to generate full size building molds and templates to actually start building the boats. We get involved in painting and varnishing, sail making, so we make all the sails for the boats that we build.
Okay, you do that as well. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Systems and engines, so they're learning how to break down an outboard, how to service it and rebuild it, how to service a diesel engine, and a bit of restoration. So we're really giving them a wide range of skills, but with a real focus on quality.
Yeah.
And building up their abilities. So in the second half of the course, they're then able to build boats from start to finish.
Okay. Yeah.
So in that second period, they are the boats that we build are all student owned. Yeah. So as a student, you can commission and build your own boat. So when you join us in a few years, you could say, well, I would like to build a 16-foot gaff cutter. Traditionally,
I'm still trying to decide what my boat is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I look every time your students
Yeah.
launch new ones. I go, I quite like that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll put that one in your hands at the moment.
Okay.
So we'll go for the 16-foot gaff cutter, and so you'll present that, and we'll listen to what the students want to build. We'll then have a discussion about what best fits the training.
Yeah.
Because we do produce boats, but education comes first. It's all about the learning. So we'll have those discussions. We'll look at what best works, and we need variety. So if you're in a group of 18, we want to have 6 different builds. So you're all learning as much as possible about several different ways of putting a boat together and different propulsion methods. So engines, electric, sails, oars. And once we've settled on those final boats, then, and this actually is in the first half of the course, we make the decisions, but in that second half, we start building on day 1 of the second half, and we go straight through to completion. And it's a busy time.
So does everyone get their own boat at the end of it, or are you doing
No.
six
No.
boats between 18?
6 between 18.
Yeah, okay.
So not everybody wants to build, or not everybody has the funds or the space to put a boat afterwards.
Okay, so they effectively pay for the boat.
You pay for the materials and you take it home at the end. And everybody else benefits from those live projects.
Yeah.
From those real life boat building projects, including everything from laying the keel right through to rigging and finishing. And then on the last day of the course, we launch those boats in the harbour.
Yeah.
And it's a celebration of the training. It's a celebration of the end of the course, but it's also a sea trial.
Yes.
You're sailing your boat for the first time.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pageant that you have, isn't it? Where all the boats go down to the waterfront and they all get launched.
It is, yeah. We all march down there, and the mayor makes a speech, and we pop some champagne, and we launch the boats. And it's a little bit bittersweet because it's very exciting leading up to the end. It's all hands on deck, and everybody pulls together, and there's this amazing sense of camaraderie and collective responsibility to get those things built. And then you finish, and it's on to the next thing. It's onto the first job or whatever might come next.
Yeah, amazing. Hi guys, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say a few words about our sponsors, Sunsail, who have made this episode possible. If you've been on a sailing charter holiday, you'll know that there is a moment when you realise day is completely yours. The anchor's down, the water's warm, and nothing is demanding your attention. That's the kind of summer Sunsail is built for. With Sunsail Bareboat in Greece and Croatia, you sail on your own terms. You move with the conditions, linger when a place feels right, and shape the week around the water, the wind, and the people you're sailing with. No compromises, just time spent properly at sea. You're doing it aboard Sunsail's award-winning yachts, boats designed for real cruising with the space and comfort that make long days under sail feel easy and the evenings anchor something you genuinely look forward to. Greece is ideal for this kind of sailing. Short passages, steady breezes, and islands close enough that the journey is always part of the pleasure. Croatia offers the same freedom, clear water, sheltered routes, and harbours that invite you to slow everything down. And if you like the idea of bareboat sailing but you want a bit more support, Sunsail flotillas give you that balance. You sail your own yacht with a lead crew and local knowledge on hand, plus a group to share the experience with. So if a Mediterranean summer is calling, do it under sail. Visit www.sunsail.com/UK and the links in the description below, and start planning a summer that feels just right, from the moment you cast off. Okay, let's get back to the episode. So what's the boat we've got behind us here? We've got a few things around. We've got a surfboard up there. What's the boat behind me?
So that one right there is a pull gart side, 14 foot, and it's a balance lug rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's all built from English timber, that one. And I make that statement because it's difficult to achieve that very often with boat building. Because a lot of the timber we use that might come from North America or Africa, they often come in large, long, clean boards.
Tropical hardwoods.
Yeah, and at times, yeah. Always sustainably sourced. We're always working with the suppliers to do the best we can in terms of the chain of custody and where the timber comes from. But this is English timber. It comes from local woodland, English larch, English oak and English chestnut, sweet chestnut. But it's a beautiful little boat.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's got lovely lines.
Yeah.
So we're okay on time for now, but just talk me through what goes into building that boat. What's the how do you build a 14-foot clinker lugger?
Yeah. I mean, and it's well, obviously you're going to have to do the course to really find out.
Well, absolutely. Yeah.
But we start with the lofting. So a full-size drawing of cross-sectional views. I'm not going to go into the great detail of how that works because it's quite technical, but essentially from that full-size drawing you're picking up the templates and the moulds to be able to put them down, and which gives you the shape of the boat. Yeah. The first sort of element of the boat that you lay down on a boat like that, a traditional clinker boat, is the keel, and then the stem, which is
and that goes onto a sort of a strong back, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
just a completely flat level.
Yeah,
surface.
exactly right. Yeah. You've even got the terminology.
I've been doing my reading.
Good. So yeah, the keel on the strong back,
and
then the stem, which in this case is a traditional solid wood stem. Yeah. So they're in the centre of the bow, and at the stern you have the transom. And then onto that, we then start to line out and establish where the planks will sit, and then we cut and shape the planks to fit around the hull. So you're building up that eggshell of planks. With clinker, the planks overlap.
Yeah.
So you have, in that case, about a 18mm overlap, and you bevel every plank with a rolling bevel. It changes all the way around to suit the curve. The whole thing is clenched together with copper rivets. And into that shell, once it's established, we then steam bend a rib cage of oak, green oak, which gives you far more strength, because the planks, you have the grain running fore and aft, and then you've got the grain of the steam bent oak running across, so it ties everything together. So you don't build
frames first and plank onto it, you build the planks on a mould, and then you put the
and you take the moulds out at that point and then steam bend the frames in. So if it was carvel, where you have solid planks edge jointed, then we would steam bend the frames first and we'd build the planks around the frames. Slightly different approach. But in this case, we steam bend the timbers in afterwards, as we call them. And then you're into the fit out, so all the gunnels and innels and thwarts and breast hooks and knees and all the different elements. And for most of the students, the terminology, it's a whole new language they've got to learn.
It is a complete.
They haven't heard these things before. And where the planks come together at the stem, you have a rolling rebate called a gerald. I mean, nobody knows where that name came from, but that's just what it is.
And that's where the planks sit into a little groove on the stem, is that?
Or is that it's actually one plank that overlaps. The overlap becomes a rebate, so it ends up being flush. So as it does sit into a rebate on the stem, but the whole thing is flush with the stem when it gets to that point.
And that's how Vikings built their ships, isn't it? Pretty much. The technology hasn't changed huge amounts.
The big difference is that we would be using saws and planer machines to actually shape the timber, whereas they were splitting rather than cutting, and they were using axes and splitting technology. So but the result was the same.
Amazing. And what boats have you built? Do you own a wooden boat? Do you sail a wooden boat?
So I have built and been involved in several builds over the years. I mean, my own boat is a lateen rigged day sailor. So it's 21-foot boat. It's got a 28-foot lateen.
So lateen is a triangular sail with a spar up the long leading edge. So it's like what's it called? Like a right angle triangle.
Oh yes,
But the long edge has the. Is that the hypotenuse? My trigonometry is not very good.
But the difference is that on a boat like a Bermudan rig, the sail is directly attached to the yard, where it runs through behind the mast. But in this case, you have the mast there, and then you have the the yard there, so it's sort of lashed to the side. So it's raked backwards, and if you imagine a boat on the Nile, a dhow, that's the same sort of rig.
Okay.
It's quite very unusual in
it's
our
quite an
waters
exotic,
here.
quite an exotic
Yeah.
rig.
But
Well, I
it's
feel
great
there are a
fun.
few
It's
sort
great
of, I don't know, you read a few of the sort of, I don't know, C.S. Forrester Hornblower books or Master and Commander, and there are quite a few sort of British ships around then that were lateen rigged, weren't they?
There were lateens involved sometimes with other rigs as well.
Yeah. And what are they like are they quite, compared to a sort of a square rigger, presumably they're quite weatherly, they go upwind better than a square rigger,
Absolutely,
I'd imagine.
yeah. I mean, and in general sailing, you can sail it pretty much like a Bermudan.
Yeah.
Where it gets a little bit different is when you're downwind and you can push that yard, pull it up nice and high and push it out sideways.
Yeah.
So it's like a square rig. It
Okay,
sticks
yeah,
out,
you've
so
got
it looks
a
completely-
perpendicular yard
Yeah.
with a sail hanging
Yeah,
down.
and it looks completely bizarre, for all the dinghies whizzing around in Lyme Bay, and suddenly you've got this great 28-foot
Yeah,
yard.
it's like something from another
across.
era, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just really good fun.
Yeah.
It's quite a skinny boat, quite a lot of sail area, quite tender.
Okay.
But not so much in recent years with demands of my job and the children, but
Yeah.
they do come occasionally out sailing with me. But a few years ago, I would regularly be out with big groups of students, and we'd go out, maybe 4 or 5 of us, and we'd have them all hiking out, and it was great fun. But, and occasionally we'd go over.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of bailing to do then, I'd imagine.
Quite a lot of bailing.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of bailing. Yeah.
And in terms of, I was just thinking about, so we've got a surfboard up behind us here. That's made by Will Otter, I think.
No, James Otter. Yeah.
James Otter, sorry.
Yeah,
James.
yeah.
He works down in Cornwall, builds these. I mean, it's a work of art, isn't it? Up there
Absolutely,
on the wall.
Yeah.
It does. You can surf it, but I feel like it deserves to be framed on a wall, doesn't it?
You wouldn't want to dink it, would you?
No. So I was going to ask, in terms of modern construction techniques, what presumably you work with all sorts of different construction techniques, but where's the sort of? I know that Spirit Yachts build quite modern, lightweight, fairly performancey sailing boats out of timber. What are the sort of the latest techniques for sort of high performance sailing boats built from wood?
Yeah, well, we build some of our boats in exactly the same way as Spirit Yachts, which is essentially strip planking. So you've got much narrower planks than the clinker or the carvel, and they have some way of locating into the next one. So either a tongue and groove type arrangement or a bead and cove, something to locate. And you have great long runs of timber, of planks, which you can actually attach very quickly.
Yeah.
So a boat like that could be fully planked really within a few days.
And do you do that onto a mould or onto the frame?
You do that onto moulds, onto temporary moulds, and over the top of that, you can then cold mould, so you can lay veneers over the top in 2 directions, and
so you're almost ending up with a bit like plywood, in that you've got grains and strength going in multiple directions.
Yeah. And in fact, we've got a little Reaver replica at the other side of this one.
Yeah, very pretty little boat.
Which is glued carvel on the side, so solid carvel planking on the side, but on the bottom it's solid planking, but then it's cold moulded over the top. So it gives the bottom some real toughness.
Yeah.
At Spirit, they then sheathe over the cold moulding. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Depends on the build. But that would be an epoxy sheathing method, which gives it far more durability. And then you can go over the top with 2-pack paints and varnishes, and you've got something that's going to last for a long, long time.
Yeah.
We also teach a bit of polyester GRP because only over 5 days on the course. We don't spend too long on it, but it's important to give a bit of experience in that field for doing gel coat repairs and that sort of thing, because it's such a big part of the market.
Yeah, yeah. And can you see a time, at the moment there's huge numbers of fiberglass boats sitting down in the marina there. Sustainability, end of life boats is a really big question at the moment. What do we do with all of these fiberglass boats when they reach the end of their useful lives, because they get to 50, 100 years old and they're in the same condition when they were built almost, albeit nobody wants them anymore. Can you see a future where we go back to wooden boat building as the sort of a staple for sort of pleasure boats, cruising boats, motorboats, or will it remain a sort of a niche, do you think?
I think it's going to grow. I mean, unless there are major changes in the way that fiberglass boats are built and then repurposed or reused or broken down, then at the moment it's essential that more boats are built from wood, whether it's using modern or traditional techniques. There are moves towards ways of breaking down polyester boat hulls to their component parts, but there's major investment needed in that and major energy in the process of doing it. I'm no expert in that field, but there's sort of a loose awareness.
Yeah.
And they're sometimes used, they're broken up and turned into road surfaces and under roads, which is good. I mean, it's, at least they're not sitting there in a river.
Yeah.
You know, just dying.
It's a fairly undignified end.
It's a fairly undignified end, yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm aware that we're nearly out of time, but I just wanted to ask you, if there was one boat that you dream of building, or something that you would like to make that you haven't yet made, I don't know, too big a budget or too ambitious a project, is there a sort of a dream of something that you would, your masterpiece, your magnum opus? What would you want to build?
I suppose if you're really going to press me, it would be to take a good couple of years out with a good team and to build a pilot cutter.
Okay.
You know, traditional pilot cutter, Bristol Channel pilot cutter, and that would be a wonderful thing to do. Yeah. And to have and to use and to.
They're stunning those.
Yeah. Let's go with that.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Well, that's probably all we've got time for. I think you're about to do what you're doing a demonstration now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be demonstrating letter carving here on our stand at the wooden boat stage.
So that's putting the name on the boat, on the transom. Yeah,
and yes, and in this case it's a stand for the show, but I regularly will do someone a name for the back of their boat. Yeah.
So is that still something that sort of the master gets to put the name on? Is that the thing that's sort of easiest? To you build a whole boat and then you slip with your chisel and the whole thing's ruined?
Well, there is a danger because sometimes it's actually carved into the transom.
That's high stakes. Yeah,
it is. But a lot of the time these days, I'm not hands-on practical boat building, which is in some ways a shame. But I'm facilitating others to do it, which I love. But no, it's great for me to be able to come out of the office and come down onto the shop floor and carve out a sign, and someone else might come along and gold leaf it, and it's good. Good to be involved.
Good. Well, if there's someone listening or watching to this and they go, oh, I like the sound of that, how do they go about getting involved?
Well, if you have a chance, and I'm not sure when this is coming out, but you could come to the boat show to see us right now. Otherwise, come down to Lyme Regis and see us. Look on the website, boatbuildingacademy.com. There's a huge amount on there. We're all over Instagram and all the usual social media channels. Yeah. But get in touch with us. If you're interested in a course, come and see us in Lyme Regis, and we'll give you a tour. Yeah.
And if I don't have a year spare, but I want to learn a few skills, are there sort of options for sort of shorter courses?
There are indeed, yes. There's a 12-week intensive with full-time furniture making course. There are lots of short courses from 1 day right through to 10 days. Yeah. There is something for everybody, really. Yeah. And of course, if finances are an issue, you can talk to us about bursaries, and we can look to support.
Great.
We can't help everybody, but we help as many as we can.
Amazing. Well, I'll maybe have to have a look at your. I don't think I can take a year out just at the moment, but I'd love to come and have a go at some.
Yeah, please
have
do.
Have a bit of some woodwork. Yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be great to see you there.
Good. Well, Will, thank you very much for your time.
That's all.
Thank you for joining us today. That's all we've got time for today, guys. But if you've enjoyed that, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a share, and we will see you next time on the Sailing Podcast. Thanks to our awesome sponsors, Sunsail, for making this episode possible.